Hello there, how you doing? Jeff D, Socio, the Talent Opportunity Connector and Broadreach Executive Search and Staffing for your talent tip of the week. So as you probably know, I've been interviewing people forever and ever and ever. As a hiring manager for like 20 years and of course 3.5 years here at Broadreach. And it's like I meet all types. And you know what type usually is the one I'm always on the fence with? Is the ones that have an ego, right? When they start off asking me, hey, I need to have a remote role. I need to make this. I need X, Y, Z before I even know if they even fit for the role. Now, hiring managers out there, have you ever gone through that before? Or, someone, if you're in talent acquisition and you start at the first part, you're like hair behind your neck. You're like, what the heck, right? So, for candidates out there, what I like to do today is give some tips, why it's important not to have an ego when conducting your job search. Because, we're in a small world, but we're in a big world, right? So, not having an ego for your job search is critical, it's for a bunch of reasons. I would say, strategically and personally. You need to first stay open to learning and feedback, right? You know, if you have an ego, you make it defensive, resistant to feedback, thinking you know it all. I'm going to give you some news. We don't all know it all right? Especially when you're in a job search. Feedback from interviews, mentors, even when you get rejected, is very valuable. Without an ego, you're most likely to reflect, improve, and grow. I do that all the time. I go through rejections all the time. What I want to do is you brush it off, you learn, you grow from it. Second thing is, what happens is you build stronger connections, right? Employees, recruiters, and network contacts want to gravitate towards people who are approachable, humble, and collaborative, right? Be humble. If you're ego-driven, you may come off as arrogant, dismissive, and it turns people off. It turns off recruiters like myself, and it turns off hiring managers right off the bat, especially if you work on a team. And then, as a inflated ego, you may and I've seen this a few times, somebody wants that VP title. They want that director title. They want that president title. So, you want to evaluate opportunities objectively, right? Egotistical people may push for those titles, but really what you want is a role that fits your skills, values, and career goals, right? You want the humility to help you feel grounded and you make smarter long-term decisions. And don't chase the titles. Titles are nothing today. It's how you contribute to society, right? And then you want to handle rejection better. I talked about it earlier. You think about it. And I'm going to bring this up today, right? Everyone, I don't know if you're in the Boston area, right? Big news, Rafael Devers, right, got traded to the San Francisco Giants, right? If you think back at the beginning of the season, right, he thought he was a third baseman. And then the Red Sox go and trade for Bregman, right? Bregman becomes a third baseman. Rafael, you need to be the DH now. He felt rejected, right? He felt rejected. His ego got in the way. And that's a great example of this, right? Think about that, right? Because you want to handle rejection better because in the world today, there's going to be a lot of rejection when you're on the job search, right? And, if you have an ego, the rejection is taken personally. What did I do? And it's not necessarily the case. You don't want to damage your confidence. You want to have a grounded mindset, so allow you to see rejection as a redirection. Adjust, monitor, control, move on, right? And then finally, you want to become more employable. The employee market today is more critical and competitive as ever, right? They're not hiring, companies are not hiring just because you could do a job or your skill sets. They want great attitude. They want confident people, but not arrogant people. Being professional, open-minded, and adaptable is way more attractive to hiring managers today instead of the fact if you're doing them a favor. So that's, a few good tips there for you. If you have any questions about interview style, please reach out to me. Likewise, if you're a hiring manager and you're working through some candidates and have some candidate questions, as always, reach out to me. Remember, egos get you nowhere. Think about Rafael Devers on the Boston Red Sox, who's now a San Francisco Giant. Too bad for him, right? The ego got in the way. Have a good day. Jeff DeSocio, Talent Opportunity Connector, Broadreach Executive Search and Staffing.